The following is a Just Green production brought to you by the Might Be News Network.
What's up, everybody? It's the week of February 22nd, 2021. My name is Taylor Cooper. This is Might Be Sports. With me, as always, Kevin Reavy. What's up, Reavy?
What's going on?
We're always sponsored by Eunomia's CBD. Go to eunomiascbd.com. Use promo code MBN. Get 20% off, free shipping, and a free gift. Also, make sure you head over to mbnnetwork.com. It's never been easier for you to find your new favorite podcast and follow along with your favorite podcast using the playlists on mbnnetwork.com. We've got merch there. We've got links to our Patreon. Go to patreon.com/mbnnetwork. It's $5 a month, and it really, really helps us out. Also, one more announcement before we get the show started. If you aren't already following us on YouTube, it would be a huge help if you did. I'm starting a new daily YouTube show next week, Monday through Friday, called Yesterday in 5 Minutes. Make sure you subscribe and check it out. We're also going to be putting our podcasts, at least the audio, back on YouTube starting next week as well. So if you are not subscribed to YouTube, make sure you go over there, follow MBN Network on YouTube. It'd mean a lot to us. All right, so let's get into some sports here.
Well, we got the breaking news.
The breaking news with Tiger. Is that what you're talking about? Yeah.
Just touch on it real quick. So by the time this comes out, it looks like it's pretty solidly reported that he's got multiple leg injuries, nothing life-threatening. He was responsive at the scene when the authorities arrived.
They had to use Jaws of Life to get him out.
Jaws of Life to get him out. So, I mean, it's an interesting thing because he had his spine fused. He's had back issues, and depending on how bad, I mean, he was fighting to get back for the Masters. Yeah. And that's not going to happen.
No.
So I think you're not going to see Tiger Woods in 2021, which is unfortunate. I'm wearing my Tiger Goat hat right now.
Yeah.
My new favorite hat.
I love it. It's a great hat. It's a great hat.
It is an awesome hat.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a big Tiger guy. Tiger's one of my favorite athletes of all time. Great documentary. I have yet to finish it because these damn documentaries that need to be 4, 5, 6 episodes long, hour piece. It's so stupid.
Are you talking about the new HBO one? Is that what you're talking about?
That?
Are you talking about the new HBO one? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So everything has to be like 4-hour-long episodes now for every documentary.
Yeah. So overdone.
Just drones on and on and on for no apparent reason. Did you see the one based on that hotel? It's a popular one now, I think, on Netflix.
Yes.
The hotel in Los Angeles. And it's like, I swear they could just trash 2 of those episodes and condense them into like 5 minutes.
Yeah, they could. Yeah.
The whole thing is kind of a joke because they make you think the whole time. I'm thinking, all right, ghosts. My first theory is ghosts.
Yeah.
Second theory, drug dealers.
And spoiler alert, she did it to herself.
The whole time.
Yeah.
The whole time, it's like, oh, well then, you just mentioned this right at the end. We could have just skipped right to this part.
We could have just told you what happened.
Anyway, we don't have much time. We got a lot to talk about. So you want to jump into the Wentz trade? Yeah,
let's talk about the Wentz trade because it's something that
that I got right from the start.
You got right from the start.
I got no credit for.
I was right there with you, and I even dropped Indianapolis as my first choice for a place for him to go. I mean, you and I, this show was pretty much spot on with this whole situation, even up to, not necessarily what they got for him. I don't like what I know about the trade, which it just kind of seems like it's a little deeper than just a clear-cut, hey, here's a couple first-round picks and, some trash players that we just don't need anymore, that their contracts are going to be up after this year, whatever. But, it wasn't that Stafford-Goff trade on impact, right? Like, it just didn't feel big. He's obviously going to Indianapolis. Philadelphia Eagles traded Carson Wentz. for a 2021 third-round pick and a conditional 2022 second-round pick that could turn into a first-rounder, league sources told ESPN. So why don't you tell us a little bit about what you know about this trade, Reavy?
Right. So the important part is that second round pick. Well, I mean, the most important part is that, like, at least in my opinion, is that they had to get something back for him because he wasn't going to he didn't look like he had a strong stranglehold on the starting position. He wasn't going to be the starting quarterback. Or at least it was too much of a toss up where it's just not worth it. And we've gotten into this argument or just into this discussion before on this show, and I've gotten into it with many people. And the argument comes down to usually why are you going to pay Carson Wentz and not play him?
Right.
And as I've always said, the ink is dry on that deal. It's done. The check was basically cashed the minute he signed it. There's no getting out of that money. So the money's already gone. So my argument has always been, forget about it. The money is no longer an issue. It's already spent.
Right.
It's less than nothing. It has no bearing on the situation whatsoever. Especially, I mean, it would if you didn't have a quarterback, if you didn't have a decent backup. But the fact of the matter is you got Jalen Hurts, who played better than him last year. And that's the way the NFL is going. They're going towards mobile quarterbacks. Carson Wentz seems to be getting away from that the longer he's in the league. But flat out, the deal is, they have the third round pick this year that's locked in. The second round pick next year becomes a first round pick if Carson Wentz takes 70% of the snaps and the team makes the playoffs, or just flat out he starts or plays 75% of the snaps. So we're talking, once he gets through, basically, if he gets through like 11 games, you can pretty much lock that in, whether the Colts make the playoffs or not. If they're in a position after 11 games where they're, under 500 or just barely over, then maybe they talk about long-term, hey, we're going to sit Carson because it's best for the team. And I don't think he would have much of a gripe at that point. If they're under 500 and they were 11-5 last season, he's not going to be able to say much, especially when the Colts then might be in a position to either cut him. And again, I haven't looked into the contract situation beyond this year for the team that takes him on, but I'm pretty sure it's the same as what the Eagles were going to have on their hands, which is the Colts are kind of stuck with him for the next 2 years, and they can't really do much as far as cutting him until that 2-year span is over. So it would be awkward if they're stuck with paying him. If Carson plays like trash and the team kind of tanks, it is going to be awkward come week 11 or 12 when they have to have that conversation of, is it worth it to drop from to go from losing a second round pick to a first round pick? But I don't know. The way I see it,
I don't think that's going to happen. I mean, if you look around the AFC South where the Colts are playing, you're looking at a Texans team minus J.J. Watt, potentially minus Deshaun Watson. You're looking at a good Titans team, mediocre to terrible Jaguars team, and that's it. You're looking at a team in Indianapolis coached by Frank Reich that wanted Carson. They protected a ancient Phillip Rivers last year on that offensive line. I mean, all signs are pointing to the Colts not only going to the Super Bowl, but being in definite competition for that division. And in my opinion, and I mean, I think that this is a perfect situation for Carson Wentz. I think it's a good to almost shoe-in chance that second round pick for next year turns into a first rounder, just simply based on if they go to the playoffs. I don't see Carson Wentz getting banged up unless he does something reckless. Which, I mean, you look at it and, like I said, like I've been saying the whole time, Frank Reich knows how to coach this guy. He did a bang-up job in 2017.
Well, that was the big thing too. That was the big. Well, really, there were only really two teams I think that were in on it, and again, ironically, those were the two teams we were talking about kind of the whole time. Were the Bears and Colts, and I think the Bears might have still have been in on that deal.
Yeah.
The Colts, what they're saying is Wentz might have had a little bit of a say in that. He really wanted to go with Reich, and it's probably a good fit. And I'm sure they had Reich and Wentz probably had a conversation in the background regarding all that. But just one thing, I'm looking this up now just to make sure I'm right because it's nuts. But what can't get lost in all this is that the Colts have an unbelievable offensive line, and the big deal, I think, what took Wentz over the line, what really messed with his psyche was the previous season. We talked about this a lot. The last 5 games, he threw 10 touchdowns, 1 pick. He averaged 301 passing yards per game. They were 4-1 in those games, surpassed the Cowboys, won the division. He did that with absolute garbage at wide receiver. Greg Ward was his best receiver. That's it. I mean, there really wasn't anything else out there for him. He had tight ends, yeah, but I mean, as far as wide receivers go, he had nothing. I think that kind of broke him. It's one of those things where it's like a law of diminishing returns. If you're running a mile, the first lap you go all out. The second lap, you're kind of falling behind. If you just keep going, you're just going to pass out. You're going to collapse. You can't keep up that pace. I think the 2019 season kind of wrecked him a little bit, and he had to do so much by himself, completely by himself. I mean, he played himself into somewhat of an MVP discussion. I mean, there were so many great quarterbacks that season. It's hard to put him ahead of Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson and all that, but he played himself. He got MVP votes because of how he finished that season, put the team on his back.
Yeah.
So when last season started, I think he realized quick, shoot, we're doing this all over again from week 1. Yeah. This is going to be nuts. This is hard to do.
Yeah.
It's hard to keep up that kind of pace. I think it kind of broke him. And it begins and ends with that offensive line. So
I think his whole experience in Philly was kind of spirit breaking for him. I mean, we've talked about it a number of times, that imagine being this hyped up second overall pick coming into a city that's notoriously hard on their star players, at least in football, and basketball. But I mean, like, imagine coming into this city, doing the impossible, and coming out and basically putting together an MVP caliber season on your second year in the league, and then the team goes on and wins the Super Bowl with your backup, who's already kind of, has a cult following in the city, and people love Nick Foles and da-da-da-da-da. And then all of a sudden, Bud Light pays for a fucking statue of him in the coach out front. Then all of a sudden, it's a quarterback controversy in the locker room. It's a quarterback controversy in the media. It's a quarterback controversy everywhere. I just think that every step of the way, there was a spirit-breaking roadblock for Carson Wentz in Philadelphia. Whether that's Doug Peterson's fault, whether that's Howie's fault, I don't know. But I've heard different things, like he wasn't on speaking terms with both of them for periods of time. I think that the Alshon Jeffrey drama broke him. I think that he just, I don't know whether it was just like he couldn't make friends in Philly or something, but it just, and I give Philadelphia fans a lot of credit for this, because they gave Carson Wentz so much rope to hang himself with, like so much leeway in this city for a long time. And I think that it was that Super Bowl that kind of allowed that to happen. But you can't go out there every year and look pretty decent and then get hurt. You just can't. Like, that crushes the city's hopes for you. And then you sign him to this mega deal, and it's kind of like smoke and mirrors, because it's like, yeah, this is cool, but then we're also going to draft a fucking quarterback right after that. And how could you not feel a certain kind of way if you're Carson Wentz about that? If you want to provide Carson Wentz with a better backup, typically teams go out there and, just pick somebody off of free agents or, get them in some junk trade or whatever. You don't go out there and draft a quarterback who's won a national championship. You don't do that if you want to instill a positive vibe with this seemingly kind of fragile emotionally person. And I don't know. It's a shame. I got another throwback jersey now. It's just total bullshit. It's total bullshit, dude. I'm happy for him. I'm happy for Frank Reich. I'm kind of at a loss for where that leaves the Eagles, because now Carson Wentz is gone. Presumably the reason that Doug Peterson is gone is because they wanted to keep Carson Wentz. So I'm kind of in this mode where I'm like, well, what just happened?
That's what bothered me the whole time when I wasn't for the Peterson firing, but I've always wondered these things. We aren't privy to the conversations that happen behind closed doors and that kind of deal.
Yeah, there has to be more.
I've always wondered, we hear about coaches getting fired and this and that. And I've always wondered, does a coach ever go into the GM's office and just bitch him out and just say everything under the, start throwing computers, breaking windows, just go nuts, the things that would get you fired in a normal job. Well, that doesn't seem to happen in sports,
especially now because Carson Wentz is gone. Okay, so when Doug Peterson got fired, everybody thought that it was it's because he wanted to get rid of Carson and they want to keep him, and that was the general outlook, right, from anybody who wasn't in the room when it happened. But now that Doug's gone and Carson's gone for nothing this year, pretty much, it kind of makes you wonder.
They might have just not gotten along.
Him and Howie?
Like I said, they might have just had an argument, and it's you know what? Fire me. I went out of this.
Because I believe Doug's taken a year off at least. I think he was just burnt out.
Right.
I think he was just burnt out.
He wasn't getting a lot of help. But, if you want to look at this, if you look back on it, and I was a little bit wrong on the Jalen Hurts thing. I kind of thought there might be – I was grasping at straws. I can be a little bit of a team apologist, but I thought at the time when you break it down, Howie Roseman, the Eagles GM, he's a numbers guy. So I looked at the fact that Carson Wentz had never finished a season, and I see this really talented quarterback in Jalen Hurts still there, and it's a second-round pick. It's not a first-round pick. It's still valuable, but it's not the same. He's still there, and you need a backup quarterback. And you see where the trend is going in the NFL. It's already there. It's not going there. It's there. The mobile quarterback is king. It really is. Justin Herbert is that guy. I think, when he came out of college football, I hadn't really thought of Justin Herbert as being a mobile quarterback, but he is that guy. He will run around. He'll create space, kind of like Ben Roethlisberger used to be. We don't think of him in that way anymore, but early in his career, Ben Roethlisberger knocked guys over. So regardless, that's what teams are looking for. That's what Howie Roseman wanted, but he had that in Wentz. But Wentz is getting further and further away from that. So we saw Jalen Hurts available. They need a backup quarterback. Wentz can't finish a damn game. It kind of made sense.
Yeah.
But again, if we're talking numbers, here's a great numbers deal for you. We talked about the Colts offensive line. So all 16 games, the Colts offensive line, we're talking Phillip Rivers, who can't move.
Right.
He's too old. They gave up 21 sacks all year, all 16 games. Now, how many times do you think Carson Wentz was sacked in 12 games? Carson Wentz played 12 games. He was sacked 50 times.
God damn.
The Colts all season gave up 21.
Yeah, he's going to love that. He's going to love that.
So, if you just look at that alone, that's got to make him extremely comfortable. You worry about, did last year break Wentz a little bit? Does he have a fragile psyche now? Can he get back into it? I think we're overrating the whole damn thing. I actually don't. Yeah, Carson Wentz may have been the second worst starting quarterback in the league last year. I mean, for the amount of time he played, I think Cam Newton was the worst.
Yeah.
But you look at the stats, I mean, he didn't play that bad. If you play really, really bad, you don't get to play like even 3 games. He played 12 because he wasn't that bad. I mean, he was bad. He was bad enough to play 12 games and get benched. But I mean, he wasn't like, who was that guy? Was it Carolina backup quarterback? No, it wasn't him. I forget who it was. It might have been Peterson. Something Peterson threw like 5 picks in his first NFL start 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah, something like
the
that.
Bears.
Yeah.
It wasn't that bad. So it's like, come on. I think Carson Wentz can come back. All they remember is the right now.
Dude, he's going to kill it down there. He's going to kill it.
I think he's got a really solid chance to.
Dude, he's going to crush that division. They're going to crush that division. And
but he needs to learn how to play this way, where he's not as mobile, or he needs to get back his old game, which I think he still can. He's 28 years old. I don't know that he had. I mean, he didn't have any devastating injury later in life. I mean, Adrian Peterson broke his leg in half and came back and was a star. So I think Carson Wentz can still be that guy. He's just got to figure it out. And why not figure it out with the best damn offensive line in football?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see. We're going to move on because we're running out of time here. But we're going to, I'm sure, talk a bunch more about it. But frankly, I'm glad that it's over. I'm glad that he's gone. And I'm glad that people on sports radio talk in Philadelphia can talk about something else for once.
And just real quick, just throwing this out there. Now they got enough pieces to trade up for Trevor Lawrence. And that's a fact. That's not, it's not a fact whether they're interested or not, but it is a fact now that they could trade for Trevor Lawrence and not give up the farm. There's a scenario where they could trade a first-round pick and a third-round pick this year and next year and still have a pick in every round left. So that can be done. Jalen Hurts, 2 firsts, 2 thirds, just putting it out there.
Before we go into the GOAT of the week, I just want to throw out there that the trade deadline in the NBA is coming up, and the Sixers are eyeing, quote, major moves. Kyle Lowry from Toronto keeps coming up. I would trade a couple people on the Sixers for Kyle Lowry. There's no doubt in my mind. They need that perimeter shooter, man. We've been talking about it. Tobias Harris, he's great at a lot of things, but he's not perfect at any one of those things. Ben Simmons won't shoot. Danny Green, Seth Curry, he's doing okay, but he's not a leader in the perimeter. The Sixers need a guy that can do it from the perimeter, period. Kyle Lowry could be that guy.
But do they have what it takes to make that kind of trade?
I don't know, because I don't know what they're going to give up for it.
Draft picks all you want. They could go the other way and kind of do the reverse process, but
because Toronto's not necessarily they're not in a rebuild. They're potentially a piece.
That's what I'm saying. That the picks aren't worth much. You could trade the next 3 years first round picks, and they're presumably going to be at the end of the first round. They're just not worth all that much. So
let me ask you.
The value needs to come from what they have.
Let me ask you.
And they have enough to make that kind of deal.
Would you trade Ben Simmons for Kyle Lowry?
Well, if that's what it is, I think you're just
no.
We talked about this last week, and I don't know. Sometimes I can get too much. I can be too much of a stat head, and that I don't think it plays in the NBA. I think there's more to it. It's about coaching, cohesiveness, how the guys play together, how they get along, how much time they put in to play together and get along and make it all work. So I don't love the idea of taking out a major piece to bring in a major piece. I think you're kind of that might be 1 step forward, 2 steps back, or 2 steps forward, 2 steps back. Where the hell are you? I don't think you can do that. But I think you can bring in a guy like Lowry, and he can play with Ben Simmons right off the bat. I think Lowry's one of those guys that can kind of play with anybody. He doesn't necessarily have to have the ball in his hands. He's just a quick dude, good shooter, all-around player. I don't know. I think when it comes down to it, I guess Tyrese Maxey would have to be part of the deal. He would highlight that deal. Can you get it done with younger guys? Maxey, Tybal. I don't know if Shake Milton has much value. I mean, he's only 24 years old. Maybe he does. Those three guys, does that excite Toronto all that much? I'm not sure.
Yeah, Thibault and shit.
I mean, it would have to, and then you, of course, trade picks and all that, but I don't know if that gets it done. It would just depend on what else is going on around the league. I mean, where is Toronto headed? Where are the other teams headed that might be interested in him? But shoot, if you're giving up Ben Simmons, that seems kind of wild.
It's so wild. I can't. No.
And then the window becomes so small. We already talked about the fact that, building around Joel Embiid is already a risky move because guys built like him just kind of don't exist. If you look at, he was continuously compared to Hakeem Olajuwon. But if you go back and look at tape from Hakeem Olajuwon when he played, today's athletes are just different. I mean, big men didn't do what big men do now. I mean, backup centers on most teams now would be they would be greater than Hakeem Olajuwon if you took him in a damn time machine and took him back to 1985. It was a different game, different athleticism. I'm not sure what Joel Embiid, if it's natural for a guy built like him with that body type to do the things he does. And he's kind of wacky. There's videos in the offseason a few years ago of him doing bicycle kicks with soccer balls and just doing crazy stuff that dude, you're 7 feet tall. You can't be doing that stuff. You're going to break.
Yeah.
So if you do this Lowry deal with Ben Simmons, you're already saying, all right, we're building around Joel Embiid. And as much as I don't like Ben Simmons' overall well-rounded game because he can't shoot, it just seems like he's more built long-term. Mm-hmm. He's going to be there.
Point blank period, Embiid is on his way to potentially winning an MVP trophy this year, and Ben Simmons is having the best season he's ever had so far as scoring goes. So to me, it's like, don't trade either of them. I can't. I for me, a Ben Simmons, Joel Embiid, Tobias Harris, Kyle Lowry, and Seth Curry, that's a fucking phenomenal starting five right there. If the Sixers can figure out how to make that possible, I'm all in.
Well, here's the one thought. If you go back to 2001, the Sixers made that big deal. They traded Theo Ratliff for Dikembe Mutombo. And, I'm almost positive Ratliff was hurt at the time. I'm not sure they make that deal if Ratliff is healthy. He was a young up-and-coming guy, just shot blocking extraordinaire, just a solid center to have there. Once he got hurt, I think he just became a trade piece. Long-term, the Sixers didn't want Dikembe Mutombo. He was probably 38 years old at the time. But it was a make a move now. We're going to try to win right now. And I think it was the right move for them. So if the Sixers now are in kind of the same predicament, if they want to move Ben Simmons for Kyle Lowry, I think you make that move, but you need a little bit more. You need to not. Ben Simmons is still healthy. He's still playing great basketball. Yeah, right. If Ben Simmons, turns an ankle next month, or I guess the trade deadline's coming up next week, then yeah, you make that deal. You trade Ben Simmons because presumably he's going to be healthy next year. Fine. But again, I don't think you're improving the team all that much. But I'll pull the trigger on that deal if there's something to sweeten it.
Right.
I don't want to do Simmons for Lowry straight up, but if there's something to sweeten it, if there's somebody on the Raptors roster that can make us better right now, that can improve somewhere else, then maybe I'll take a B-level guy as part of the deal as well, and then throw in a first-round pick, whatever it takes. but you got to get, if you're going for it right now, you got to get a lot better than you are right now. And I don't see a 1-for-1 deal like that doing that.
No. All right, let's go to the week and get out of here.
Might Be Sports presents the greatest of all time
of the week. I'll tell you what, you go first this week, Kevin Reavy. I always go first. Go first.
Well, with apologies to the greatest of all time having a very bad week, Tiger Woods. It's really sad. I love watching Tiger playing the damn Masters. I'm pissed off about that. It sucks. But I do wish him well. So while we're talking about GOATs, I'll mention Tiger, but really, the guy who had the best week is Carson Wentz. To get back on that, he got himself in the perfect situation. They don't have a ton of weapons for him. It's not a situation like Baker Mayfield in Cleveland, but they got enough. They got a really powerful running game, a great offensive line. He's got some wide receivers to throw to, and presumably they're going to get even better to help him out in that area. I'm not sure what kind of cap situation the Colts are in exactly, but maybe they could make some signings. Obviously, they'll have the draft. I think they're going all in. We were just talking about going all in with the Sixers. I think the Colts are going all in for this year. They basically have a 2-year window now.
Yeah.
And this is their best shot. So, shoot, Wentz is looking great. I can't wait to watch him play. I'm gonna be rooting for him.
I'm excited for him too. Yeah. All right, so my clear-cut go to the week this week was going to be Joel Embiid for obviously listening to our show last week, and he heard me talking shit on him, and then, a couple days later he went out and dropped a career-high 50 points directly in my face against Chicago, which was great to see. I hope he does it for fucking 6 more games straight.
And then they lose to Toronto, but that's okay.
Yeah, it's okay. But my clear-cut go to the week this week is Naomi Osaka with a 6-4, 6-3 victory over Jennifer Bradley in the Australian Open final over the weekend. Naomi Osaka captured her 4th Grand Slam title, and just a really, really humble woman, very, very cool, very just like down to earth. I love watching her play, but I also love what she said like after the game, after she won the whole thing. It's just like, what do you want from tennis? And I don't remember exactly what she said. I'm paraphrasing, but it's just like, I just want to be around long enough for someone that looks up to me to beat me. Like, I think that that's really cool that she's like looking forward to that moment, obviously years in away, but just really seems like a really down to earth and humble champion. So Naomi Osaka, my clear cut go to the week. Great show as always, Reavy. I really appreciate you being on here with me, man.
Always good to find a way to talk about football.
That's right. Hey, everybody out there, go to YouKnowMeCBD.com. Do it now. Use promo code MBN. Get 20% off free shipping and free stuff. Then go to our website, MBNNetwork.com. Check out Brews on Friday. We'll see you guys next time. Peace out, Reavy.
See ya.
Later, everybody. Have a good week.